Sam Allardyce, or Big Sam, is one of the most recognisable figures in English football. He's been a constant presence in the Premier League for the past 20 years and managed a number of different teams to varying levels of success. Nowadays, he's often accused of being old-fashioned and playing an outdated style of football that emphasises defensive solidity over entertainment. But there was once a time when Big Sam was one of English football's great innovators, when his data-driven approach to football and ambitious recruitment strategy saw him bring a second division team from a town in the northwest of England to the cusp of qualifying for the Champions League. This two-part series aims to explore exactly how he did it. Welcome to Red Mist. I'm your host, Joseph Murray, and this is the story of Big Sam at Bolton Wanderers. Before moving into management, Big Sam had a long career as a player. Unsurprisingly, he was a commanding centre-back who was known for tough tackling and a lack of ability on the ball. He began his club career at Bolton Wanderers, who were then in the second division of the Football League. He signed for them on a scholarship in 1969 at age 15 and played for them for the next 11 years as they bounced between the first and second divisions. He left the club in 1980 after they were relegated to the second division. From there, he embarked on a nomadic career, including short spells at Sunderland, Millwall, Tampa Bay Rowdies, Coventry City, Preston North End and Limerick. By the time Big Sam retired from playing in 1992, he had already been coaching for a number of years. His first job came as a reserve coach at West Brom in 1989. He then became player manager at Irish second division side Limerick FC, where he won them promotion to the first division in 1992. This was followed by a 2-year spell at third tier Blackpool, where he was eventually sacked after failing to win promotion. His next job came midway through the 96-97 season at third tier Notts County. When he arrived, the club was favourite to be relegated, and following his appointment, they went 15 league games without a win and were relegated after Big Sam unsuccessfully tried to improve the players' discipline. Despite the relegation, Big Sam kept his job and guided the club to promotion next season, winning the fourth tier by a huge 19 points and securing promotion in March. Big Sam helped County retain their place in the third tier the following season, but resigned in October 1999 after growing frustrated with the board's refusal to spend money on transfers, which is where our Bolton story begins. Big Sam moved to Bolton immediately after leaving Notts County and described his appointment at the club where he began playing as the most special moment of his career. Bolton had been in the Premier League just 2 seasons before, but they were in financial difficulty after opening their new Reebok stadium in 1997. Despite their state-of-the-art stadium, their training facilities were anything but modern. Their training ground was run down, lacked hot water, and countless other facilities like a gym and canteen. Financial difficulties and poor facilities aside, they had a talented squad which contained players such as Eidur Johnson, Klaus Jensen, Jussi Jääskeläinen, Ricardo Gardner and 17-year-old Kevin Nolan, who was starting to break into the first team. But the club was sat in 16th after 11 games when Big Sam took over. Despite the club's financial problems, poor league position and his assistant manager Phil Brown having his jaw broken by their centre-back Andy Todd in a supposed team bonding session, Big Sam managed to guide Bolton to the semi-finals of both the League and FA Cup. They also earned a playoff spot in the league after finishing 6th. They lost to Ipswich Town in the semi-final, but this was just a setback. Big Sam was rewarded with a 10-year contract in February 2000 as a reward for the club's successful campaign. This was a public statement that he was part of the long-term plan for the club, and the foundations for this plan were put in place almost immediately. In the summer before the 2000-2001 season, important players such as Johnson and Jensen were sold for big fees, and the money was reinvested on improving the club off the pitch. Big Sam had been influenced by the season he spent at Tampa Bay Rowdies in the USA, where there was huge importance placed on having the right people and facilities behind the scenes to maximise the team's performance. Big Sam ensured that Bolton invested in things such as training facilities, nutrition, sports science, video analysis and psychologists. According to Big Sam, he wanted Bolton to be the cutting edge of every new innovation and pull ahead of the rest of the English teams, most of whom had yet to implement any of the changes that Big Sam brought in. A few key signings were also made prior to the start of the season, and all these upgrades paid off as Bolton won promotion to the Premier League as playoff winners, beating Preston 3-0 in the playoff final. Prior to their first season back in the Premier League, Bolton were favourites to go down. They had a much smaller budget than their rivals, and Big Sam was reluctant to fall into the trap of signing high-earning players on long-term deals due to the risk of relegation. So Big Sam mainly kept faith in the team that had won in promotion, as well as dipping into the loan market, signing French international Bruno Ngotti from Marseille on loan. Ngotti, a 30-year-old centre-back, had played for PSG, AC Milan and Lyon, so he arrived with plenty of experience at the top level. Further upgrades were also being made off the pitch. The training ground saw more improvements with a gym being built, as well as the addition of the War Room, which was a hub for Big Sam and his staff to analyse every stat available to monitor the player's performance and detect signs of fatigue or injury. Big Sam's data analysis was at a level of precision that had never been seen in English football. He was so meticulous that he calculated the exact position every player had to be stood in to maximise scoring opportunities from set pieces. The season started superbly for Bolton. They won their first 3 games, including a shock 2-1 win against Liverpool, and rose to first in the league. Another surprise victory followed, as they beat Man United 2-1 in match week 8, but Bolton only managed to collect 8 points from their following 11 games, and went into January hovering dangerously close to the relegation zone. Signings were needed in the window, and Big Sam again convinced the board to go bargain hunting in the foreign market, even though it would cause them to go over their wage budget. They signed German striker Freddy Bobic on loan from Borussia Dortmund, and French World Cup winning midfielder Youri Djorkaeff, who Allardyce described as his greatest transfer coup of all time. Djorkaeff was 34 at the time and had his contract at Kaiserslautern terminated after falling out with his manager, so he moved to Bolton hoping for first team football and a place in France's World Cup squad. The 2 signings from the Bundesliga were crucial for Bolton's survival that season. Djorkaeff oozed class and his winning mentality elevated the team, while Bobic scored a hat-trick against Ipswich in a 4-1 victory which ended up sealing Bolton's safety. Bolton ended the season in 16th and were looking to establish themselves in the Premier League in the 2002-2003 season, and to do this they needed some new faces. In the summer window, Big Sam again began to look abroad for talent and managed to sign 2-time Champions League winning defender Ivan Campo on a season-long loan for Real Madrid. Bruno Ngotti's loan move was made permanent, and French right-back Bernard Mendy arrived from PSG on loan. But the biggest move this summer was undoubtedly the signing of Jay-Jay Okocha on a free transfer from PSG. Okocha was only 28 and had just captained Nigeria at the 2002 World Cup. He arrived at the Reebok with a huge reputation and had cost £14 million when he moved to PSG from Fenerbahce in 1998, making him the most expensive African footballer of all time. Okocha had received offers to move to bigger clubs in other leagues, but chose Bolton because of his desire to play in the Premier League. Despite Big Sam's reputation for long ball tactics, he loved Okocha's tricks. He gave Okocha the license to express himself, and he became the team's talisman. In his second season at the club, Okocha was named captain, and would stay at the club until 2006, when he departed for Qatar Sporting Club. On the pitch, Bolton's newfound foreign flair combined with their robust workmanlike core to form a fascinating concoction of talent. The solid foundation laid by the likes of Jussi Jääskeläinen, Simon Charlton and Per Fransson allowed Okocha, the star of the show, to form an excellent relationship with Youri Djorkaeff. The 2 of them dazzled fans with their flair and quality, and scored 7 goals each to help Bolton avoid relegation once again. Their safety was secured on the final day of the season when they beat Middlesbrough 2-1 to finish 17th. After only just avoiding relegation for a second successive season, Big Sam realised that strategic changes had to be made so that Bolton could cement their status as a Premier League club and push up the table. Next time, we'll look at how they did just that, as well as revisiting the club's first campaign in the UEFA Cup, and how Big Sam left the club in acrimonious circumstances. If you want to see more content like this, please be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to our channel, as it helps us out massively. This has been Red Mist, I've been your host Joseph Murray, and thank you very much for watching. Be good, be careful.